Good morning. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush. Thanks for coming back again and following my journey. We're going to talk about paper today. It's kind of hard to do without actually going to the store and taking you with me to the art store and showing you your options. But I'm going to share with you some of my favorites and why I settled on these particular favorite papers. And so let's go. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I know I have some new members and I'm glad you're with me. When I started watercolor, as you know, if you follow me, I did not know what I was doing. And I started on like paper, just paper. I went to the store and I bought this little 89-cent set of watercolors by Crayola. And I had no clue about paint or pigments or anything like that. I just knew I wanted to try watercolor. And then I got a pad of paper that just said watercolor pad. And I thought, cool, let's go for it. I don't have it any longer to show you, but I'm going to show you some of the others that I've switched to. But basically it was just paper. So when I painted on this, there was no texture, there's no blending. It just sits there, soaks in, and then there it is. That's it. That's not what I wanted. And I knew from watching other people paint that there's got to be more to it than this. Then as I started painting and following different videos and mentors, I began to see and hear recommendations for a paper that was 100% cotton, 140 pound, and cold press. There's also hot press, there's fluid paper, there is Yupo paper. There's so many different types of papers out there in the art world. But this journey was about me and finding out what I like. And a lot of times on the videos, you'll hear people say, you know, just paint for you, paint what you like. At first, I didn't know what I liked, so I had to try a lot of things because that's just me, that's what I do. I did settle though, finally, on some favorites, and that's what I'm going to show you. And I'll show you some of my artwork that I did as well. I started, finally, settled on Arches in, I guess the correct pronunciation is Arche. This company is well over 100 years old, and they make a variety of types of paper, but the cold pressed 140 pound is probably the most commonly used for those that like Arches. There's also Fabriano paper. There are all kinds of papers, Legion, Stonehenge, Strathmore, and they all bring a little something different, and that's to be expected because as artists, each time we paint, we're going to bring a little something different, and we all paint differently. It's like I tell people, it's like a fingerprint or a snowflake. Each of our creative expression is going to be different than the other. So it's really, we really can't compare ourselves to one another, although we do, don't we? We're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be able to paint like that. So I found it's about finding somebody that you really enjoy to watch, somebody that resonates with you and your creative spirit, wherever that comes from. Follow them and then learn the techniques that they teach because that's most helpful. And then you can go down that path and see how it works for you. But Arches is a good one. 100% cotton. And 140 pound. I don't know if you could tell from this, but there is texture. I guess you can see that in the paper. The paper is textured. This is 140 pound, 300 GSM cold pressed, and that just describes how they make the paper. If you want more information on how that happens, I'm not the one to give it to you. You'll have to go and maybe find a video somewhere and they'll show it to you. I've watched a video on how the cold pressed paper is made, and it is quite interesting. There is a difference though when you paint with something like arches and a paper that maybe, I'm sliding here, sorry about that, paper that may not have the same texture or weight even. This is one that I did just recently. I did this on what is called bee paper. It's 100% cotton. It says 140 pound, but it doesn't, it certainly does not feel as thick as this one. You can see the difference. It's thinner. And when it dried, it does have some buckles and some folds in it. It did give me a nice result though. For what I was trying, I was just playing, as I always do. I did tape it down. That's why you see the edge here. So I did tape it down while I was painting. And it gives nice results. But like I say, it still has some little folds and buckles in it. You can see that. That's where the water just kind of puddles and then settles. There are people that have ways to flatten their paper afterwards. So if this is the type of paper you enjoy, this comes in individual sheets. And I ordered it from Amazon. And it comes in a pack of like 50 sheets individually, and they're already pre-cut. So that's an advantage. And they're not bad, but they're not arches. Arches just kind of tried and true. Let me show you another painting that I have done. This one was on, whoops, sideways. This one was on arches. This was on a pad. And then I taped it also. This is wet on wet, and I just wet the whole thing, and then I just dropped in my colors. You know how I like to do that. And I think this gave a beautiful result. So this gives you a difference between this and doing something on that other one that I just showed you. I'm not sure where I just set it down. But it doesn't have the buckles. It stays flat. So it's a nice quality. Another one I really like is 300 pound paper. You can see the thickness. This is also arches. See, look at the thickness in this. There's a difference between this. You see the difference in the thickness? This is 140 pound. This is 300 pounds, 600 GSM. The reason I like the 300 pound paper is it is so gorgeously absorbent. And especially if you like wet on wet techniques, this is one that I did wet on wet. I let it dry, and then I came back the next day or later in the day with more color, and it's just fall leaves just like on the ground. And I did this actually in memory of my niece who recently passed away, and I just call it changing of seasons, in memory of her changing seasons. And I really like this, but 300 pound paper, you can hear the, like if I tap it, it's a different sound. You hear that? It's 140 pounds, it's 300 pounds. It's a little deeper, heavier. I love it. As far as sketchbooks go, I love sketchbooks, and I take them with me when I go places. This is by Bahong, and actually Bahong has a pad that is not bad. What did I put? Here's my Bahong. This is a block of paper. I've mutilated it, so the cover is no longer here. But as you can see the texture. And it is glued on all four sides. And they did send a little tool that you can use to get underneath here at the top to get your paper off, because it's glued pretty securely. But they also have a travel journal that I actually enjoy. I really enjoy the Bahong paper. And this is my travel journal from Bahong. And that's the kind of the same picture I was trying to do as I did on that other one with the water. I just trying to see how it works and what I can do. And there's some pumpkins I did. Not super terrific, but just, oh, there's a leaf. I collected some leaves. Let me move my leaf. I was like, wow, how'd that get there? I had that pressing a leaf on the other page. There's some pumpkins I did and just some experiments. And so that's what I like to do. I like to just play. I've shared this one before, but the Hong paper is very nice, and it's 140-pound cold press mold made. And they actually do have a video on YouTube of how the process of how they make their paper. So that's one I like. Talking about cotton paper though, let me show you this. There was a difference between cotton rag and cotton cold press. This is handmade paper. I've shared this on another video that if you look through my channel, you can find it. This is called the Large Cotton Book. That's all it's called, the Large Cotton Book. This is rag paper. And you can see the textures in this. Hopefully, let me find a page that's empty. See how the texture is very uneven. All the pages are what we call deckled edges, which means they're not cut, they're torn. But see the unevenness? When I put my paint on this one I did that came out kind of nicely. But when you put your first layer of paint on this, watercolor paint, it's just going to kind of sit on top of those textures. And you really have to go back in again and let it dry a little bit, and then go back in and continue your painting. And when this one is wet, seriously wet, like totally wet, it actually feels like almost like a t-shirt, because it is cotton rag. And so when this one gets wet, you have to let it dry. When it does dry, it will come back to the same consistency of the page, and then you can paint again. So that's another one that I like. It's fun, it's different, it's got lots of pages here. When I get a sketchbook, I always do the last page first, because it's always kind of intimidating to do the first page. It's like, what am I going to do on the first page? So that's what I did with this one. I did the last page first. It's not so intimidating. The other sketchbooks that I really enjoy are Etcher. I use them all the time, and I thought I had them sitting right here, and I don't, so I apologize. My Etcher sketchbooks, I love those. And they give great results, and their paper is also 100% cotton, 140-pound. Their white sketchbooks are 260 GSM instead of 300, but they still work beautifully. So I like Etcher, I like Arches, I like Bahang, and just for fun, I like the 300-pound. It's very expensive, but it's 300-pound, but of lovely gorgeousness. It's wonderful paper. You can order your paper in large sizes. I don't have any here to show you, but you can go online, like to Cheap Joe's or Blick, or I don't think Michael's Craft Store sells them like this, but you can get what we call full sheets, or 22 inches by 30. And they come in a huge package, and then you can cut them. And it's less expensive that way. Then you can cut them as you desire, and then paint away. I did this one yesterday. I'm taking a class by Jill Williams. If you don't know haven't found Jill Williams, please check her out. Jill Williams Watercolor. Excellent, excellent teacher. I'm taking a class with her right now, and this is one we did yesterday of the from Yellowstone National Park. So this was Jill's instructions, and I just tried to follow with my own. I did this on Bahang, on that little block, and I was really happy with how this came out. So check out Jill Williams. I'll just give her a little plug right here. So that's my little walkthrough on paper this morning. One of my discoveries, my next lesson, my next video, I'm going to talk about my favorite brushes. Ooh, hang in there because I'm going to share some wonderful brushes and even have a coupon for you to get a discount on my absolute must-have go-to favorite from Tracy Levinson. Thank you so much for watching and following, and have a wonderful weekend. This is Saturday here in Georgia. It's raining, but rainy day in Georgia. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for watching and following and subscribing and all those things that we do online. Leave a comment if you have any questions or comments and period. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you have found works for you. Thanks so much and have a great day and follow your brush.